I wonder, could you talk about the first days, weeks, months after your awakening? What gave you a secure sense of presence, foundation, so to speak? Did you follow the Dharma straightly? Anyway, okay, much love and thanks. All along, I came to meet myself, how I've searched to find my way home. So hey Steve, I had many awakenings before my big awakening in Bali, and I don't like to think of it like a final point as such. Like, I don't like to have any arrogance around it. What happened in Bali, there was that explosion into everything, and so my last, it was like seen beyond doubt. It was just known. It just broke so much that happiness or love or everything I'd ever been looked for wasn't found in time. It was my essence. And there wasn't actually anybody experiencing this. There was only this intimacy of life itself, this intimacy of love. But there'd been many awakenings before that, prior to that. And I think it was pretty clear prior to that, all those things. But the energy kept covering or forgetting again in some bizarre way. I think a blessing of my character is I'm not like a I don't know how to describe it. Like, I'm not like, you get certain characters that want to be the boss or want to be the dominant one, or to know all things, or to talk about all things. And my character isn't like that. Even though I've ended up in this role, it's not a very like, it's just not like that. I had very low self-esteem before, and so therefore after the awakening, I think a huge blessing was that I wasn't claiming anything. Like, I wasn't claiming it. I didn't have the sensation that it was mine or that I could own it. And I think that was a real blessing. And in the character world, I had been to so many different speakers, and I just, for some reason, there was just such a deep knowing that I couldn't force this or push this. And that all I needed to do on the Lisa level, on the character level, was to be myself. And to be honest to myself, and to follow the flow of Lisa. Even though there wasn't somebody there ultimately could do that, it's just my best way of describing it. So I wasn't trying. So after that big awakening happened in Bali, the Lisa character, even though she went through a few weeks of trying to understand it, there was also such a surrender to being myself on the personal level. So I didn't get caught up in, oh, I'm enlightened, or I'm this, or I'm that. I just couldn't. Just on the human level, I just had to dance the Lisa dance and be true and honest to that. And to be happy when Lisa was happy, to be sad when Lisa was sad, to cry when Lisa cried. And not try to be enlightened, or not try to let everyone see what had happened to me, or get everyone to see what had happened to me, even though I ended up speaking about it. I actually didn't tell my friends and family. I attempted to tell my mum, but that didn't go down very well. All I said to her was I'm happy, and then she thought I'd gone loony. So I suppose what I'm trying to communicate to you is just like the absolute humility of it. So my Lisa character didn't think that she was done, even though there was this deep peace and this movement back to this emptiness, this vastness, and this immense love that knocked my socks off. It was so different to what it was before. On the character level, Lisa wasn't trying to put that on as a badge, so therefore it could just be as it was, and I didn't have to be anything. I didn't have to live up to be anybody, so I could just carry on being this bundle of energy of whatever it needed to be. I think the biggest problem about spirituality is that everybody's trying to be something. It's the biggest problem with the separation, is trying to be something. And all you need to do is be yourself. And in being yourself, you disappear. Khaleesi's herself. I'm myself. It's just, you just act everything out. You've not got this hidden world of you, this person that you're trying to live up to in time. This removal from what is. There's just impulse and reaction, thinking, emotion. There's just what's happening. And then who's really experiencing this is this vastness, this love. So in those 7 years since Bali, I think my biggest blessing has been that Lisa hasn't tried to claim it. You can even see it in the way that I speak. I'm rarely talking about or putting Lisa up on a pedestal. It's like you don't need to become anything to be who you are. You just need to be who you are. And who you are is this vast space that's experiencing itself, this emptiness that's experiencing itself as fullness. And on the human level, all of us, including me, can still work to improve and iron out our conditioning if we feel to. And be humble to that, and be humble in relationships. But really there's nowhere ever to get to. Who you are is this vastness. This, what's happening. And while you feel really separate and lots of suffering, as that separate, apparent separate person, just rest your attention in what's happening. So rest your attention in the feelings, in the seeing, in the hearing, in the feeling, in the I am, in the touch. And if there's really strong emotion, then you can do an emotional release of putting your attention in the emotion and then speaking it out. You motherfucker, you did this to me, you did that, or whatever. What has to happen is there has to be a collapse back into the experience. Often the separate person is trying to run away from experience and try to get to something in time, in the intellect, in imagination, trying to get to a better tomorrow, away from a bad yesterday. So it's trying to imagine getting there. And that's okay. Like that's what thinking does, is it imagines. but your home is here. Your imagination is just imagining pleasure. Pleasure isn't home. Home is here. And the reason the mind is doing that is because you've been taught that you're not allowed to feel certain things. And so for years and years, you've spent and put lots of energy into trying to avoid being certain feelings. You're not allowed to be sad, you're not allowed to be angry, you're not allowed to express all these things. So you've had that feeling, and then you've put all the attention up here. And what it's done is it's increased thinking. It's made the thinking go a bit neurotic when you have those feelings. And it's also made the feelings get stuck in the body because they've not been allowed to express themselves and come out. They've been shoved down. So that action of always trying to move away from feeling has increased the thinking. And then the thinking increases the feeling. It's like a cycle. This is why when you get into your 20s and 30s, after 10, 15, 20, 30 years of being identified, your body is quite uncomfortable. Because you've got into this cycle of trying to avoid the feeling. The feeling creates overthinking. The overthinking increases the feeling. Pretty simple, actually. Just seems complicated, but it's not. It's complicated because you've got no language for this, so you almost have to learn a new language when you're into non-duality. You know, often when people first get into this subject, people aren't even aware that they're thinking. So they're not even aware that this isn't actually a cup or a travel mug. That's simply the name we gave it. But they think that's reality. That's what this is. It's a travel mug. But really, it is as it is. It's nothing. It's innocent. And then they believe their own thoughts to be true. So if somebody's been angry to them, if somebody's annoyed them and they've got angry, they don't even know they're thinking about it. They haven't even got perception that they're thinking about that. They just think it's reality. So it's like when you get into this subject, it's almost like you have to learn a whole language for it.